Yeah, that's what it's all about, you know, just figuring out, you know, a lot of people are curious. I find a lot of the time, you know, as if they're not completely averse to the idea because of some preconceived notion, or really they just don't like the idea of roleplay in general. A lot of people are really curious about it. Like, they hear about this game, and it kind of gets negative connotations a lot of time, but they still get interested in it a little bit. And, you know, they want to know more about it, what they can do, figuring out what is available in the content, and just how people play it, you know? I feel that it's important to kind of get rid of the stigma associated with D&D, as far as you get a lot of, how would I put it? You get a lot of, like, stereotype stuff with D&D players. You know, they're all a bunch of, like, you know, fat basement-dwelling virgins or whatever. That's really just not the case, you know? Tons of people can enjoy it. I remember on an earlier cast I was talking to a regular here, a player in Arbadet, Valinus. And I was talking to him about one of the biggest gateway things into getting people interested in D&D is really the movie industry. And to a lesser extent, books, you know, like, depending on if you enjoy books or not. But the movie industry, also TV shows at times. Obviously, Game of Thrones is a really good TV show, and that kind of, it almost pushes you to look into these things more as maybe something that you would enjoy. As far as movies go, I feel like every generation has a movie that kind of draws people into D&D. Spoonie covers this at length at his website, SpoonieExperiment.com. But, like, for example, you know, this generation has Lord of the Rings, like the Lord of the Rings re-releases. It kind of gets people hyped about that. One of the ones that really drew me into it was Conan the Barbarian. Conan is an excellent view on it. Some people like Pirates of the Caribbean, you know, that's another one. Pretty much anything that has to do with sword fighting is, you know, kind of an edge in to the D&D world, or tabletop in general. This song is weird as shit. Huh. I'd be more interested in it, but not right now. I'm on, like, a playlist of video game music, and apparently there's, like, rock on a game called The World Ends With You. Hello, Hash. Yeah, I mean, that's another thing too, is we're so imaginative and so explorative as children, and that never really gets, how would I put it? It never really gets nurtured too much. Or it kind of just gets passed off as just like, oh, that's what kids do, you know? I feel the lack of imagination is something that really is crippling the entertainment industry right now. Everybody just wants to copy. Everyone's afraid to innovate or try new things or imagine different ideas. And that doesn't just have to do with, you know, fiction and fantasy, just in general. Like, we don't cultivate that curiosity and that desire to create, innovate, think of something in a new way. Yeah. And the thing is the big thinkers are really what makes the changes in society. I mean, I guess we're kind of getting off a tabletop tangent here, but it's pretty true. You know, maybe the idea is implausible for the time that it gets thought of, but the idea itself can motivate others to work towards that end. And sometimes it's not as unbelievable as people think. You You take a look at, even though his designs were obviously flawed, like you look at people like Da Vinci, who made tons and tons and tons of theoretical machines, and yeah, they just couldn't work. He just, at his time in his life, they did not have the ability to make his designs work. However, that idea to think to something larger that can really change the world as we know it is pretty amazing.